The topic now is transmission. The guest we have is well versed in these issues. Joe Welch is President, CEO, and Chairman of ITC Holdings. Joe, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Let's talk about the headache around transmission, primarily issues with the grid.
Well, since I've been in the business, there's been constant talk that we need to rebuild the grid. Starting in 2003, we actually started purchasing transmission systems from other utilities. Comprised in my office today is a compilation of around 10,000 photos that would tell you about the condition of the grid. And let me tell you this, that for all of the people who care, it's not in good shape. It truly is not in good shape. We have portions of our system that are over 60 years old. No one out here today would say that they've got something that's 60 years old that they use 7/24 every day. A lot of neglected maintenance, precipitated obviously by the blackout of 2003. We have a monumental amount of work to do just to rebuild the grid, and this is nationwide. I've gone to a lot of places. Everybody says not here, it's here.
On Monday, Secretary Stephen Chu gave a speech at Grid Week 2009 talking about the implementation of the smart grid, but the national grid overall. And he had said that here is the largest machine in North America, one that, as you said, hasn't been updated in some cases in 60 years. He issued a few of the challenges as he sees them: transmission, standards, and also data sharing. What ranks as number one in your mind?
Well, regardless of what technology we want to employ in the future, let's talk about smart grid, let's talk about demand response, let's talk about electric vehicles, renewable resources. I have a slide that I sometimes use in speeches that I give. Of course, transmission is always the center of the universe. But when you talk to all of the people on all of the technologies, they always come down to the one enabler that they need to make it work, and that's transmission. And we need a robust transmission grid in this country for more reasons than I have fingers anymore.
Does that mean legislation or regulation, or legislation leading to regulation, specifically backstop authority at FERC?
Well, citing to the backstop issue is a critical element, but long before we get to citing, we have some things here in this country that are really legacies of how we developed the grid. The grid is very balkanized. It was never planned to be regional. It was never designed to be that way. So at the top of my pyramid, I always put independent planning. We have to have independent planning to really focus on regionality. We have to take people who are market participants and let them have a say in it, but they should not be put in a position to dictate the outcome. Independent planning, number one. We have to have rational cost allocation. The way we do it today is if a transmission line is in your geographic footprint, you pay for everything. When we start talking about building an interstate highway, think about building it through the Dakotas and asking those people to pay for everything there, yet when commerce is going east to west and west east, we need to have something that's more commerce-based and regional, and probably something like a federal gas tax, only in this case, it would be a cents per kilowatt hour charge that everybody pays regardless of who they are, and it supports that grid. Of course, then next on our list is the siting. Because if we can get it planned and then we can figure out how we're going to pay for it, now we got to get it built. And we have supported at ITC that all state and local people have a say in the siting. But at the end of the day, after about a year of debate, we need to end the debate. And if we can't get it sited, then we need to step back from that and transfer that right to siting to the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. And that siting is yes or no. Remember, we've gone through a planning process, a visible planning process. We have vetted out all of the issues around this. It's something that is needed for the good of the country. We need to get it built. And so the siting is the absolute critical way. Last but not least, the things that we don't realize, that even if we had all of these things in place today, we probably couldn't get the transmission built as quickly as people think we can, because we don't have a supply chain behind us that can support a massive build out. And so it's another element that we have to really start to look at, but we are years and years away from being where we need to be.
Joe, final question. Would you agree that your ambitious plan for the Green Power Express is already a victim to some degree of these transmission problems?
Well, exactly. The Green Power Express is a true regional transmission project. the first thing you find is there's no place to get it approved in the planning process. And so assume if we can't get it approved, we're never going to be able to put it in front of a regulator and say, would you give us cost allocation? And then if we get to siting, this is a regional project going through some states who say, I don't need this here. We need all three. Green Power Express was designed and built to deliver, truly low-cost renewable resources to the load centers in the upper Midwest. And it's something that should be built. It's a terrific project. All sorts of regulatory hurdles in front of it that say, I hope I get to start on it in my career.
A man and a company who are up to their ears in transmission issues. Joe Welch, President, CEO, and Chairman of ITC Holdings. Joe, thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.